welcome to the Elevated Limits podcast show. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. Today we have a special guest in the building. She was awarded the 2018 Enlightened Leadership Scholarship to attend Kutztown University, a double major in finance and personal financial planning. She was selected the #1 female intern in the country. I gotta give it a little pause, make it more dramatic. At Northwestern Mutual and third overall. She is currently a financial advisor, and I'm really excited about this conversation because we get to talk about money. And I feel like this is a conversation the community really needs to hear. So please welcome Nessa Cartagena. Cartagena. Did I say it right? Cartagena. No, bro. Cartagena. Bro, I just practiced this like 10 times before we even started the episode. Cartagena.
Yeah.
You see, I'm really bad at pronouncing names, so
it's okay.
You guys got to give me patience. So like I said, I'm really excited to talk about this conversation, Nessa, because I feel like there is a big gap between the community I come from and maybe where you grew up on just knowledge of what it is that you do, right? Because a lot of the times we grow up and we're not taught what to do with our money. We're just kind of winging it, right?
Yeah.
And we just say, just save your money, or you know what I mean? There's just no guidance out there. So again, I'm really excited about this conversation. But before we go more in depth, can you just explain what a financial advisor is?
All right. So what a financial advisor
Speak to
is.
the mic.
So pretty much, financial planning is not a one size fits all shoe. And I think that's where a lot of people, kind of go wrong with their perception of what an advisor is, because what an advisor might talk about with one person, they might have a completely different conversation with another person. It all depends on, obviously, how much you make, how much you can save, what your goals are, risk tolerance. A lot of things go into it. But I think a lot of people sometimes too think, oh, I don't need a financial advisor, or I can't have a financial advisor because I don't make enough money. That's completely not true. It's false. I think everybody should be working with an advisor, no matter your income. But pretty much a financial advisor is going to help you make rational decisions when it comes to your money, right? I meet with a lot of smart people every day, right? But the reality is, as humans, we are emotionally attached to our money, right?
They say where the money is, where your heart lies. That's what they say. You know what I mean?
So as humans, we are emotionally attached to our money. And what an advisor is going to do is going to help you, be rational with the decisions that you're making with your money and making sure that you're putting it in the right places. Because saving is great, right? But saving isn't going to build wealth. That's just the reality.
Right. That's you dropped a lot in there, which is good. You mentioned like you don't have to have a lot of money to start saving or to start working with a financial advisor, because you said, so is it a big misconception for people to be like, listen, I'm broke, how do I, you know what I mean? Actually, let me ask you this. What do you recommend for someone who comes from a low income situation? Like, is there like any tips or advice you give on how to split up their check and how they should go about working with a financial advisor?
Yeah. So I would say, like, first things first, when I'm meeting with people, I believe that everybody should be saving 20% of what they're making.
Per paycheck?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Per paycheck. So that 20% though that we're saving should be, monthly, sorry.
Monthly, okay.
Good thing you corrected me on that. 20% of what you make every month. Now, the thing is though, that 20% should not all just be going to a savings account. It should be diversified over, I like to say 4 different buckets, right? So we should be saving for retirement. We should be saving in our savings account, right? We should be saving into an investment account, and we should be implementing some cash value life insurance. So that 20% is going to kind of be scattered across those different buckets, right? And basically the main idea is that you have, obviously, the money in those different buckets is going to be liquid in different ways, meaning some of those buckets you can touch after 59 and a half, after you retire. Some of them you can touch before retirement, right? So most times what I'm helping people do is not only helping them focus on saving that 20% amongst those 4 different places, because most times people are only saving in their savings and for retirement.
Yeah.
Usually they're neglecting all the years before retirement, right? Most times we have a lot of life to live before then. And so it's important that we're saving for all that in between. But essentially, people want to diversify their money in 3 different ways, right? They want to diversify in the form of how is the money being taxed in the places that it's in, right? How is it going to grow, right? and also how liquid is it? So when can they touch it? How soon can they access the money? So that's why I am teaching and educating people about those 4 different places, because they're all taxed differently, they're all going to grow differently, and you're going to be able to touch them at different times in your life.
Dope. And based on the person you're talking to, basically everyone's plan is personalized based on how much income they have and what their goals are, right? If I'm not mistaken, which
That's
is really
correct.
dope. Throughout our process of you getting me on board, I thought it was really interesting kind of getting to know your story a little bit and like kind of what led you to becoming a financial advisor. So could you just explain to the viewers like kind of what your upbringing was like and kind of what led you to making the decision of being a financial planner?
Yes. So pretty much a little background about me. I grew up with a single mom, and pretty much we were broke all the time. That was literally like my life. Like I just remember like wanting to get a job as soon as possible, wanting to open a bank account as soon as possible, because I couldn't wait to start working so that I could start saving my money. Because I just knew, like, 1, I wanted to be able to help my mom, but 2, my biggest fear as an adult, as I grew up, was going broke. Like that was literally what I feared so much. So I started working when I was 14. My first job was at Dunkin' Donuts, humble beginning, So, I was making people's iced coffee and all that stuff. So I know how they make all their iced coffees. So, anyway, so my first job was at Dunkin' Donuts when I was 14, and then I actually picked up a second job when I was in high school. I started serving at Westgate Pizza, actually. So I was working at Westgate Pizza. I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. That's how I actually saved up for my first car.
Oh wow.
So that was pretty much like in high school, I was just like a hustler. Like I literally, and I would get paid, I don't even remember, let's just say $200 like every other week. It was, now looking back at it, I thought I was rich back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, that is chump change. But like whatever, let's say I got a $200 paycheck. I was probably saving $125 of it and giving myself $75 to spend. I always prioritized savings far more than I prioritized spending. And so even before I had a bank account, like I literally would just like save my cash, like I don't know, maybe in a shoebox. I don't even know where I was putting it, but I was just saving my money any way I could. So kind of fast forward when I was in high school, at that time my mom was in a lot of debt. And I remember sitting down with her at the dinner table and literally like organizing all of her credit cards and, what the minimum payment was, what the interest rates were, when they were due. And we literally wrote down on the calendar, like I helped her create a plan to strategically pay off her credit card debt.
Wow.
When I was in high school.
Prior to you even learning about all
yes.
this. Wow.
That's dope. So I remember I was like literally like putting on the calendar, like, okay, on this date, you're going to pay this card. This is how much you're going to pay. And then you're going to pay this date you're going to pay this card. This is how much you're going to pay on this. That way we can get it paid off as soon as possible, right? So I didn't even know when I was in high school that like the little way that I was helping my mom, because I loved her and I cared about her, that little way that I was helping her, I could help people and impact people on so much larger levels when it comes to their money. And I didn't even know that was a possibility at that time. I was just doing it because I genuinely wanted to help my mom and I love her, right? So I was in high school. And pretty much to my senior year of high school, I didn't know if I was going to go to college, not because I wasn't smart enough, but pretty much because I knew my mom couldn't afford it. So I was like, and like, I wasn't really educated either on financial aid and stuff like that. So I just like, I was scared of debt. You know what I mean? Like, So I was like, well, like, I guess I'm going to just have to like look for a job. Like I truly didn't know. Right. And then I was touring colleges and stuff, but like when I would hear the sticker price of tuition and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, no, like that's just not possible. I can't do it. And it was crazy because when I was in high school and I was saving up my money, I was like, I'm saving up for college. And then you go to all these college visits, they're like, all right, $80,000 a year. I'm like, okay, I didn't save up that much. So my mom, like, she didn't save up anything for me for college. Like, she had me when she was 20 years old. She didn't know what she was doing. You know what I mean? And she had no guidance herself. And so I got really lucky. My guidance counselor in high school, her name was Miss Vasquez. She was so amazing at Liberty. And she was helping me, like, apply for colleges. She was like, no. Like, what do you mean you're not going to college? You're going to college, She didn't really let me take no for an answer. So she was helping me do applications and stuff like that. I was going to college fairs and getting, like, all those at the admissions tables, they give you like these codes to apply, for
Right.
free to waive the
lit.
fee.
Yeah.
So I was getting all those free waivers. I was like, I don't have the money to pay for these
Right.
applications. So I was getting all those little codes at all the tables to apply. And I started applying. I applied to, I don't know, let's just say maybe 5 or 6 schools. I think I applied to Temple, Drexel, University of Miami. I wanted to go to Florida so bad. And then I applied to East Stroudsburg,
Okay.
Kutztown, and I think that was it. It might have been those 5. And I was like, Kutztown was like the last school that I applied to. I was like, there's no way I'm going to Kutztown. Like, that school's in the middle of nowhere. I was like, that school's in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't know anyone else going to Kutztown. And it was also like super close to home. I mean, it's like 35 minutes maybe from Bethlehem/Allentown. So I was like, no, like whatever. My guidance counselor was like, just apply. Like, what could happen, right?
Right.
Like, best thing, if anything, that's your safety school, right? You know that if you don't get accepted to your top schools, that's going to be where you go. So I was like, all right. So I ended up getting accepted to all the schools that I applied to. But a huge factor for me, which actually I was talking to Miss Roz. So,
Oh, yeah.
so she was talking to me about scholarships and stuff like that in high school. And she basically said, like, love who loves you. So when she said that to me, she was like, go where the money is, pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah.
So she's like, listen, I know Temple and Drexel are your top schools, but at the end of the day, you're getting a bachelor's degree. And pretty much a bachelor's degree across the board is, equivalent wherever you go for it.
Right.
It matters more when you start going for master's and more, higher education. And so even though, Temple and Drexel were my number 1 schools, I didn't get a lot of money from them. Like, I was still going to be paying like over $50,000 a year for Drexel, Temple, $30,000 a year. And I was just like, there's just no way. So Kutztown actually gave me a lot of scholarship money. And they didn't give me so at this time when I applied and they like gave me my original, scholarship package or financial aid package, I was still going to be having to come out of pocket. I don't know, let's say like maybe $15,000 to $20,000 per year. And I got an email from someone at Kutztown in the admissions office, and she was like, hey, we have an opportunity for a full ride scholarship. We'd love to invite you onto campus to interview for the scholarship. And I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. But apparently to qualify for the scholarship, you had to be applying as a business major. So that was one of the requirements. Like, it was only open to people in the business school. You also had to have like a certain GPA, maybe like over a 3.5 or something in high school, or 4.0 something. I don't know how the scales go. I don't remember. But you also had to have community service on your transcript. So that was another thing that the scholarship required. I had all of those 3 things, thankfully. And so I qualified to go in for the interview. So I set up the interview. I literally remember like the day of the interview, my mom drove me. She was able to leave work early. And I was panicking because I didn't have business casual clothes. So I was like, Mom, can you please take me to Marshall's? Like, I need to go to Marshall's. Like, I needed to get like a, cute shirt or something like that for the interview. And so we went to Marshall's. This is literally right before the interview. I got like a cute little blouse or whatever shirt and drove to Kutztown, had the interview. And I remember my public speaking teacher in high school. Her name was Mrs. Erdman. She was also amazing at Liberty. I told her I was super nervous for this interview. I was like, I just don't know what to expect. I don't know what they're going to ask me. And she was like, Nessa, she was like, just be yourself. She was like, just be yourself. She's like, don't worry about anything else. It's going to be fine. So like, that's all I kept thinking about. Like, just be myself, right? I ended up going in for the interview. Apparently being yourself does really get you places.
It
because
definitely does.
A few weeks later, I was interviewing against, I think, 7 or 8 other candidates, right, for this scholarship. And I got a call like 3 weeks later, and it was from Laura in the admissions office at Kutztown. And she was like, I'm just giving you a call because I wanted to let you know that you were our top candidate for the Enlightened Leader Scholarship. Are you willing to accept this offer? And I was just like,
yeah.
What? I was like, yeah. I was like, I can't believe this. Like, I was just in so much shock because I was just like, I was interviewing against other candidates. I went into this not even knowing what to expect. And Kutztown was originally a safety school for me. Like,
Wow.
I did not want to even go there.
Right.
So I was like, but then when Miss Roz was like, love who loves you. Whoever gives you the most
Shout
money.
out to Ms. Roz.
That sticks with me. Like when she said that to me, like that really stuck with me. Like I was like, she's so right, right? So I called my mom at work and she was at work and I called her and I was like, Mom, like guess what? Like I was like, I was awarded the full ride scholarship at Kutztown. And she was like, she just started crying at her desk.